What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching another video. I need your help. I need to know what direction I'm going to go in with all my car plans. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Basically where I'm at with my Audi S3 and the future plans of what I want to do on the channel depending on what kind of cars I go with. So let me hear what you guys think. I'm going to break this video down into a couple different sections. I'm going to be talking about exactly what I want to do with this car, or the plan that I had with this car, and kind of so you guys know what I'm thinking, and then what I want to do by adding some cars to the channel and giving you those ideas to see if that would be something that would be also kind of interesting to do. So again, let me know what you guys think. I'm going to break it down into different sections. We're going to go out for a fun drive in this car, and let me see what you guys think. Okay guys, so essentially these are my plans on what I'm going to be doing with this car and what I wanted to actually originally do. So I truthfully feel that I'm getting towards the end of the line with this car. And by that I mean, not that I'm going to try to get rid of it or whatnot, but there's not that many more videos that I could really make on this car that I haven't already. Obviously, there are some more mods that I want to do to it. That being said, I mentioned this in a video previously. I still want to do a catback on this car that I am working on at the moment. I want to switch out the front grille, want to do a rear diffuser. I do want to do a carbon fiber steering wheel so that the interior is nice. And there's a few little more odds and ends that I do want to complete on this car. But I would say this car is close to being like 100% done. I'm probably somewhere in like the 90 to 95% range completed on this car. Now, my thing is this. A few videos back, I mentioned that I didn't know the direction that I wanted to go with this car, whether I was going to build the engine or keep it stock engine, and what my options were and whatnot. So I'm really leaning towards the side of just keeping the stock engine, driving it the way it is, and then when I'm ready to get rid of it, I part it out and then get rid of the car. Because I love this car. This has definitely by far been my most favorite build, my favorite car that I've ever owned, my fastest, my nicest, in my opinion at least. And I don't know. I feel like this car was never a forever car for me. It was a car that was a goal when I was younger, that I always wanted to get it. When this car came out, at least here in the States in 2015, and I saw them for the first time, obviously this was the pre-facelift. I wanted one so badly. I was, what, like 20 at the time when these cars came out? I wanted one so freaking badly. And I would see people bag them and do all these things to them. And at that time, these cars were so ahead of their time with power, how much power you can make out of a 4-cylinder engine with just the tune and some bolt-ons. This car was just so ahead of everything. And I wanted this car so badly. I loved it, being that it was an Audi, and again, it's just a car that I wanted. And at that time, obviously, I couldn't afford that. I was much younger. Obviously, it wasn't in the financial situation that I am now, and there was a lot of things that I had to go through to be able to get to where I am today. And at that time, I had my R56 Mini, so I was working on that, and I just didn't think that a car like this was feasible. Now, as I get older and things get better, obviously, it's a car that I've had for almost 3 years. And I don't know, I really just feel like I'm at the end of the line with the car at the moment. Now, I still have some videos to make on this car, but I'm gonna be honest, if I were to say that I have more than like 10 videos more that I could really make with this car without being super redundant, I don't know what else. I need to go to the track a couple more times, a couple more mod videos and things like that. Maybe some ride-alongs with launch control that I can do, but again, I'm really limited on the content that I can make going forward, and that's why I'm saying I don't plan on building this engine, I don't think, because I feel like at that point, all the money that I'm going to dish out to make this faster, I could get into a better platform. And I've always told myself, I would never sell this car unless I was upgrading to something better. And I'm going to get into exactly where I plan to upgrade this car to something better, what my plans are. But as of right now, obviously this car is here to stay for, I would think, at least the longer term, maybe another year or two at least. But I'm on the fence where it's almost where I want it to be. It's at the power level that I always wanted it to be. I ran my goal of a 10-second pass that I wanted to on this car. And again, I'm just at the point where I don't think there's much more that I could really accomplish with this car. And I don't see myself pushing this platform to the absolute limit like some people do. That's just me. I just don't want to put that money into doing that, where I could take that money and put it into a better platform or a faster platform where I can upgrade that instead. So this is where my dilemma is, guys, and I'm just going to be very straight up and honest. So what I wanted to do is, once this car was completed, I was going to upgrade to either some sort of B58 car, or I was going to go Daza and get an RS3. I would love a TTRS, but they are just so out of budget, and they are so much more expensive than the RS3 for basically just a two-door version of the car. Obviously, it's lighter, mod for mod, the TTRS is going to be faster, but I get the 5-cylinder sound. It's super capable in a sedan. I love the body lines. I love the look of the 4-door. So either way, I would be super happy getting an RS3 if I couldn't get a TTRS. Obviously, my goal, my affordable, achievable, as of right now in my life, dream car is to have a TTRS. But I feel like I could work up to that. But the prices of RS3s are going down a lot. I've seen in my area a lot of RS3s right now with decent mileage go, into the mid to high 40s and low 50s with 15, 20K miles on them. And at the time that I bought this car, I wasn't able to afford an RS3, which is why I got in my opinion, the next best thing. And it was an S3. But my goal was always to get into a 5-cylinder turbo car from Audi. That was my ultimate goal. And I'm at the point now where I could afford it. I could comfortably afford it, and I would love to get it. Now, the main issue now is that the car market, in terms of interest rates for financing a car, are so outrageous that I cannot justify how much money I would pay in interest. Where this car, I got it during the pandemic. I got a steal for this car out the door under 30K with a killer interest rate because I do have good credit, luckily, and I was able to get this car, in my opinion, for a steal with an extremely low interest rate. Right now, 3 years removed from having this car, we are in 2023, and my credit is stronger. I have a way better financial situation than I did 3 years ago, luckily, and the interest rate that I would be getting approved for with really good credit is probably triple of what I got for this car, which is insane. Because if you have looked at the market for financing anything right now, it's ridiculous because of the way interest rates are. And if you bought a new car recently, even people with over 800 credit, which is practically perfect, are getting 7 to 8% interest rates on loans. And I'm sorry, I'm not paying 7 or 8% interest, or even a little more, on a car to finance that is in the $50,000 range. There's just no way that I'm going to do that. There's no way. And what I got this car for, it just isn't justifiable to get rid of this to get a more expensive car with a terrible interest rate that I'm going to be paying, an extra $150 a month for just interest. It's just so stupid to do that. And it's unfortunate that that's the way the market is right now, because if we were in the same situation as we were a few years ago, I would absolutely 100% start to part this car out, get ready to either trade it in or sell it, because I don't owe that much on this car. I really don't. I owe a very little amount on this car now, where this car is within the next less than 2 years will be fully paid off. And what this car is still worth, around $30,000, I could take that money and I could completely part out this car, which I've already done the math with all the mods that I have, and I've kept all my stock parts. That's why I always recommend people keep your stock parts, because when you want to part out your car and you want to get it done immediately, you don't have to look for anything. You don't have to struggle with that part of it. You just part out your car, have all the stock things ready, and you're good to go. So I have, with used parts, mind you, probably 10 G's that I can get back for parts in this car. Throw on all the stock things. I'll do all the work myself, no problem. It'll probably take a few weeks, but not an issue. I could take in my pocket probably more than 30 G's overall. And besides my income and that and the money that I've saved and everything like that, I could easily justify an RS3 if I wanted to, or a B58 car. I was also looking at M240i's, M340i's, even the new Supra as a replacement for this. But just the way the market is, I just don't see it as something that's smart at the moment. Now, being at this time that interest rates are terrible, and I just don't plan on financing anything unless, I come into some crazy amount of money, or just crazy things happen where I'm able to. I just can't justify it at the moment. Not because I can't financially, just because I think it's just so stupid to throw money away like that on just terrible interest and whatnot. And I'm not going to drop 50K in cash on a car, which could it be possible? Maybe, but why would I do that? It's stupid to do something like that, to just put all your money into something and then not have anything as a backup. Obviously, as you guys know, that's just a dumb thing to do. It's better to keep cash flow, finance some, but it's just not feasible for me at the moment, just because I cannot justify that kind of investment into a car with the kind of interest that we're looking at in today's day and age. So that brings me back to, what do I want to do? Because I'm almost finished modifying this car to what I wanted it to be 100%, I need to get into some sort of other project. I want to keep making YouTube videos. I want to keep making content. And once this car is practically finished, and I would say probably by the summertime that I'm going to be out of videos, I'm not going to have much more things to film. And yeah, I could probably go to the track a couple times, maybe to some like car meets or cars and coffees and things like that that'll put up videos. But I've been trying to at least put up a video a week, even sometimes 2 videos a week. And by not having any content to film, things to do, it's going to really halt my YouTube channel, and I don't want to do that. I want to be able to continue to bring content and make fun stuff with cars. So that's why I may possibly purchase 2 cars. 2 different cars. One definitely that I want to get for the time being, and I mentioned this in a video a year ago. I don't know if you guys remember, if you're still watching me from that time ago. There was a car that I said that I've always wanted since high school, that I even drew a picture of it in my art class, and I've always wanted since I was literally like 16 years old, when I really started to get into cars. And I didn't reveal what the car was back then because I almost bought one, but it's very difficult to find these cars stock, or like, because the thing is, I want a completely untouched one. I don't want any mods, nothing. I want a 100% bone stock one. Mileage, I'm not too crazy on, as long as it's got a good service history. So if the previous owner or owners maintained it right and they have a good stack of receipts showing that the car was maintained properly, I'm okay with mileage being like over 100K or whatever. But the one thing is that I cannot find a stock version of this car. And it is a hot hatch. It's a manual only car. And I'm just going to say, it is a MazdaSpeed 3. Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking, like, a Speed 3, why the heck would you get that? It's to, like, make my teenage self happy. And if you guys have ever done that, I've always wanted one. My parents never let me get one when I was younger because obviously how much they cost when they came out. And obviously, you know, my dad knows about cars. Them knowing that it was a, 260 something horsepower from the factory, turbocharged 4-cylinder, and they knew that I was going to start modifying cars. They thought that I was just too, like, immature to be able to, I guess, handle a car like that, with obviously in hindsight, compared to like my S3 now, it's nothing. But again, back then, you have a hot hatch that can make easily over 300 horsepower with some bolt-ons, was kind of ahead of its time. That car was rivaling the Subarus. That car was way better than the like GTIs of that time and whatnot. They were making more power. So the Speed 3 was sort of like almost at the king level of hot hatches, unless you had like a WRX hatch or an STI hatch. But a Speed 3 could give a WRX easy like time right there, and they would make about the same power, maybe a little bit less than like a tuned STI. So, and you're spending half the money. So I love them. I love the way they sound. You're looking at a 2.3 turbo. I've always wanted one. My high school self was obsessed with them, and I could buy one now, obviously. And the problem is now that I can't find a stock example of one. They're all beat to hell. They're all completely modified, crazy high miles with just all these bolt-ons, and just like they just look sketchy. And I could travel for one, but I just don't have the time to do that at the moment. If like time frees up and I found one out of state, like I don't mind. I'll fly out there, buy it, and drive it back home. If I have the time to do it, I would. I have no problem with doing that. I traveled 4 hours to get my S3 driving because it was a good deal. If I found one in another state that I had to fly to, I'll fly out and drive the car back. I'll do it. But that's the thing, that I can't find anywhere, even in like a 500, even like nationwide like radius, just people that don't like either take care of them or they just modify them like crazy. I just can't find an example of it. And it's just frustrating because I really do want one, and I want one stock so I could do it from start to finish. And it would just be a car for myself. I would make content on it. There's some Speed 3 content on YouTube. Not as much as I thought when I started looking up different things on like content on these Speed 3s, but I want one. And I really want to modify one. I have the money for it. If I were to find one that is like decent mileage and completely stock, I don't care if it's a first gen or a second gen. I don't care about that. I just want the engine, transmission. I just want the drivetrain platform. Like I said, I do not care whether I find a first gen or a second gen at all. I just probably would keep it just full bolt on. make it really nice and clean with some suspension and nice wheels, and maybe something like that I would actually bag so I can have something that's fun to drive and stands out. I might do something like that, but again, we'll see. Now I'm going to explain to you the second car that I really want to get, and hopefully I'm able to achieve both like similarly at the same time and be able to just have content on both cars. For a very short period of time, 3 years ago, right before I got my S3, I had an NA Miata, and a lot of people didn't know what happened to that car. So just honestly, I sold that car to help me get my S3. And I didn't need to sell it. I could have kept it, but the thing was, at the time where I had 3 cars. I had my Sport Wagon, I had my Mini, and I had my Miata. And the thing was, though, a lot of people also didn't know what happened to my R56. That car was sold like 3 years ago. I never mentioned it on the channel because I'm gonna be honest, I was afraid starting out YouTube that if I like mentioned that I sold the car that kind of got me going on my channel, which was my R56 Mini, people would just not be interested anymore. So I reverted from like letting people know what happened to it. Some people like kind of figured out that it was sold. I mentioned it in some comments when people were asking like, oh, where's the Mini? I told them it was sold, but I never actually announced it in a video until now, like 3 years ago. But that car's been gone since 2020. I sold that car so I could financially fund this car at that time, because being that the car was, you know, paid, I took all the money that I sold that car for, I used it as a down payment for this, and then the rest of the money I used it to buy mods right away for this car. And then the Miata, essentially what I did with that was that I took that car, I wasn't going to sell it, and then I just thought, like, you know what, I don't have space for 3 cars. It was really difficult to have 3 cars at that time anyway, so I ended up selling that car for a profit. It did have some mods on it, but I did sell it for a little more than everything that I put into it, and I kind of wish that I kept it because now the market for the Miatas are crazy. I probably could have sold that car with under 100,000 miles for like $8,000, maybe a little more, when I paid like a third of that. So, but again, things happen. Nobody expected the market to go that way. So, being that I'm mentioning my Miata now, I had that car for like 6 months, and I never achieved what I wanted to do to that car because I was obsessed. Once I was able to financially afford the S3, I did whatever I had to do to buy this car. And if I had to get rid of everything, I would have done it to buy this car. And between the 3 cars that I had to, you know, I already had in my mind that I was going to get rid of 2. And like I said, I had my Sport Wagon, my R56, and my Miata. Number 1, the R56 was gone. I knew that like that was the first car that was going. So my Mini was gone. And then obviously I have a great daily driver that's great with fuel economy, and then I have a 2-door sports car that is very impractical as a daily driver, to be honest. And obviously I chose to keep the Sport Wagon as my daily, and I sold the Miata so I could buy my S3. So the reason I mention this is because I do want another Miata. Now, I don't want another NA Miata, and I think my like ultimate favorite like generation of Miata is the NA. But the reason why I don't want an NA is because I'm very picky in the sense of I like more modernized things. And my thing is, though, and it's big for me, even though we only have like maybe 4 or 5 months of heat here in like Jersey, my thing is I need AC. And most NA Miatas, like either the AC doesn't work or they don't come with AC. Luckily, the NA Miata that I bought was an AC car, and the AC worked pretty well. So I was super happy because in the summer when I was driving that car, I don't know if you guys noticed my videos, my top would be up, the windows would be up, and I'd be fine. It'd be like 95 outside. The AC blew really cold in that car. So I really enjoy the fact that I could just chill and basically just enjoy it. Now, I really want an MB. The MB is my second favorite generation of Miata. The main reasons why I want an MB Miata is, like I mentioned before, is that it's a little more modern and most things work on those cars. It's not an old Japanese 90s car, and I love the NA. It's the best looking one in my opinion. I love the styling and everything about it, the pop-up headlights, but I think one of the deal breakers for me is just no AC, and most of the NA Miatas that you find, again, don't have AC or don't have working AC, where all the MBs that I see in descriptions of people, everything works, heat works, AC blows cold, and the ones that I've like even like seen in person and driven, like, you know, it's just a more modern experience, and that's just ultimately what I want, as dumb as that sounds. And you still get the great drivability in the MB. It's still, you know, so much aftermarket support for those cars, and that's the reason why I would go NB over NA if I had to do it again. And what I wanted to do with my NA Miata was a simple turbo setup, do that, and just have like a really nice, fun like back road, canyon, mountain kind of car where I could drive that car up to like Bear Mountain or Hawk's Nest in New York and just rip the back roads in like a nice like mid 200 horsepower car, which I think would just be so much fun, especially in a car that weighs like 2,300 pounds. So I like the 1.8 that comes in the MB, and I would probably try to find like an MB2 that comes with a 6-speed. But I'd be fine with like a 99 or a 2000 with a 5-speed. Again, any like good deal that I find, no rust with working AC. I would probably do just a budget turbo build, like maybe like a CX Racing turbo kit, to be honest with you, just to have something that will make like, I don't know, 10 to 12 PSI. And like I said, you know, maybe like low to mid 200 like real horsepower. And that kind of car is just, it's more than enough. You really don't need that much more. I don't need a freaking rocket ship. I already have this for now. And, that's my thing. If I had to choose both between the Speed 3 and doing the MB and Miata, most likely I would go Speed 3 just because it's a car that I've always wanted since I was, you know, 15, 16 years old, and I've never had one before. I already had a Miata. I experienced it, so I already know how those cars feel. So that would be the reason why I would get a Speed 3. But ultimately, my goal would be, because I would be keeping this and not going and not upgrading into a different platform yet, I could probably get both and then, you know, upgrade them at the same time. And I think that would be cool, you know, doing mods on both cars. But we'll have to see. That's where my mind is right now, guys. And that's why I wanted to make this video, just so that you guys know, like, for now, this car's here to stay, the S3. But if I'm going to get rid of it, it's going to be for an upgrade. It's not going to be to downgrade to something. I'm going to get something better. I'm going to get something, in my opinion, probably nicer, depending how you think, and something that's more capable. And this car has given me everything that I wanted, the best first experience on a car that I would consider like really quick to fast, and I can only go up from here. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think on what I should do. Unfortunately, I would really like to get into another platform, but just financially doesn't make sense with how bad interest rates are at the moment. And again, I'm not going to pay crazy interest for a new car because I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, things could change. I could find a crazy deal and I could cave in from wanting something so bad. But like I mentioned before, I'm really down to either some sort of B58 car or getting the RS3. I've even thought of possibly getting like an F80 M3, but I don't know. I feel like for the price, they're a little more expensive. I feel like I can make out with like a M340i that would be cheaper and is still so capable and makes disgusting power with like easy bolt-ons and mods. So I feel like that would just be the direction that I would go in. I would like an F80. I was also looking at like M2 comps, but I don't know. We would have to see. I would have to drive everything and just see what I like more. But I think I'm really down to getting either an RS3 and either a 240i or a 340i. I'm really keen on one of those two. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Most likely, I'm going to be adding some cars to the channel within the next couple of months once this car is 100% done, in my opinion. And again, I don't really have any plans on building the motor on this car. I did, but I think I'm just going to keep it stock motor, enjoy it the way it is. And when it's time to part it out, I have a good chunk of cash in this car that I could use to get into another platform. I'm so above on my loan on this car that, you know, I would get a huge chunk of change back into my pocket to use on something else. So I'm in the situation where when the time is right, I'm able to pull the trigger and make that move. But anyways, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. A lot of rambling, but I just wanted to let you guys know what was on my mind. So please like, comment, and subscribe. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.